Arne Slot's big mistake at Liverpool this season? Failing to drop struggling Salah. There must be blame. We need heads on the battlements. We need entrails, horses, chains, a public quartering. Basically, we just need to feel something. We need, above all, to feel that this is all someone's fault. This is how elite football must function now. The Dalai Lama once said that instead of looking to blame others, we should look for answers within ourselves, which just goes to show how wrong you can be and is, frankly, very disappointing from the Dalai Lama. It turns out medieval medicine was right. Human beings are indeed composed of 4 basic humors: bile, fire, earth, and being incredibly angry on the radio, energies that must be constantly fed. There is a central irony here. Rage and snark have become football's defining energy. There is simply too much space out there, too many content channels, but not enough actual sport to fill them. So perceived injustice, the divvying up of fault, frauddom, bald frauddom have become the game around the game, but at the same time, there is less to actually blame people for. Success and failure have become structural. Big clubs really are too big to fail in any meaningful sense. Managers no longer run teams like autocrats, surrounded by directors, assistants, data wonks. There is simply less space to actually make terrible mistakes on an individual basis. The kind of clear-as-day mistake that really does throw an entire team out of whack. At which point, enter Arne Slot, who is out there making at least one very obvious, big-ticket managerial mistake. Why is Slot playing Mohamed Salah in every game? Why is Slot continuing to do this even when the evidence is clear that this is a mistake? One that can still be fixed, but which becomes more deeply compounded with every passing week. It makes little sense in the abstract. Slot is a title-winning manager, a details-obsessive, super-smart, no-bullshit merchant. Crucially, he possesses a pair of eyes. And it has been obvious for the last 2 months that Liverpool are suffering with Salah in the team, most notably against stronger opponents. Since their last trip to the Etihad Stadium in February, when Salah was brilliantly decisive, Liverpool have played 11 games against City, Newcastle, Arsenal, Chelsea, Manchester United, Real Madrid and Paris Saint-Germain, losing 7 of them. Salah has played in all of these, contributed 0 goals and performed most of the time like a Salah-shaped void, a ghost at the edge of things. A wretched afternoon at the Etihad Stadium was confirmation of 2 key points. First, Salah's own performance is well below the required level. And second, his weaknesses speak directly to the problems in the team around him. Most obvious is the lack of physicality. Liverpool have gone from being more intense than their opponents, from intensity as a baseline and non-negotiable, to fielding 3 very small men in Salah, Florian Wirtz and the current version of Alexis Mac Allister. They are a team that is always struggling to exist in the same space as more powerful opponents. In the opening minutes against City, there was the spectacle of Wirtz chasing Jeremy Doku down City's left flank, grabbing and grappling at his back while Doku seemed vaguely aware of being tapped on the shoulder. Moments later, Nico O'Reilly, a really good modern Premier League power player, could be seen cuffing Salah out of his lane like a man swatting away a cloud of midges. This spreads to other parts of the team. Pep Guardiola was coy about Connor Bradley after the game, talking up what a wonderful fullback Bradley has become, which is true, but also making sure everyone present noticed what City had done to him, which was to constantly double up, knowing in advance that Salah simply won't offer any cover, that his flank is always open. So Bradley, one of Liverpool's better players, is transformed into a point of weakness by the failings of the superstar in front of him. So Ibrahima Konate is also drawn out to the right away from the tight spaces that suit his game, all the better to perform like a man with his legs on the wrong way round. And so the midfield pivot is pulled apart, always asked to cover slightly too much space. This imbalance is also endangering Slot's rebuild. Wirtz is being asked to adapt to the world's most brutal league in a team already balancing the presence of one non-contact creative princeling. Alexander Isak, already under pressure after a summer spent acting as a footballing Helen of Troy, must now fix this team rather than adding a final gloss. It is important to note that none of this really Salah's fault. He is not doing anything different. He has never been a defensive player, something that didn't matter when he was flanked by a furiously hungry 3-man midfield. He is also right to be aware of his own worth as one of the most thrillingly productive goal scorers the league has seen. But then, he's also 33 years old, quite small. and a veteran of more than 700 career games. What was everyone expecting to happen here? Perhaps we should blame Liverpool's executive for offering Salah that new contract at a time when it was clear the team would have to be fundamentally rebuilt. Liverpool's entire ownership mantra is to make clear commercial choices, to be smarter than its bloated fellow juggernauts. Retaining a massive money 33-year-old seems counterintuitive. Are we looking at another Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang here, a more chiseled Phil Jones? But the contract did make sense on basic numbers at the time. When he signed in April, Salah was averaging 1.4 goal involvements per game, an astonishing level of productivity. The total cost of 2 more years of this is 36 crore, the kind of sum you might throw at a half-forgotten fullback. There have been suggestions a deeper data dive could have predicted the drop-off this season. But still, give us half of this. We can make it work. Slot has made this into a major problem by refusing to drop his star player, hobbling his own rebuild in the process. It is a mistake so obvious, so clear in its outlines, that it is tempting to cast around for some deeper motivation. We know that informal chats take place, that star players will demand guarantees on selection. Does Slot's own status come into this? A power imbalance between generational star player and affable Dutch single-season wonder? Salah was re-unveiled on a wave of emotion. This was all vibes, energy, goodwill. How involved was Slot in the process? And who had final oversight of the top-heavy spree that has left Liverpool not just with too many attackers, but with the wrong attackers, 2 center forwards and a surfeit of lightweight creatives? It never felt coherent or like the work of single voice, more a case of team building by committee. It certainly doesn't feel very Slot. The international break presents an opportunity to find solutions. Salah will be off to the Africa Cup of Nations before long. The current exercise is clearly unbalanced, in hock to the past, but also making an enemy of its future. There is still time to show some teeth and pick a team solely on merit and future needs. But that time is definitely now. Arne Slot critiqued as tactically naive. Always someone out of position. Liverpool were brought back down to earth at the Etihad after 2 promising results, following Slot's return to his winning formula. The head coach made an intentional comment pre-match about the hours he analyzed City, but his side looked unrecognizable in the 3-0 defeat despite the unchanged lineup. The question then remains, what is going wrong for Liverpool? Tactical analyst Josh Williams, speaking on the breakdown, offered an insightful examination of the issues at hand. With Man City not offering any new tactical surprises on Sunday, Williams described Slot as tactically naive after Liverpool failed to counter Guardiola's system, which included flooding the midfield. After the host described Slot's approach as stubborn, Williams said, "I wouldn't even use the word stubborn, I'd say naive. I saw him say that comment that he saw plenty of City tapes. What City did was not particularly new. Guardiola didn't come up with some kind of galaxy brain thing. There was nothing particularly different that Liverpool shouldn't have been prepared for." He points out in one example that Connor Bradley, Ryan Gravenberch and Mohamed Salah all stood off Jeremy Doku not knowing if he was their man in particular positions on the pitch, and you'd expect Salah to have made that clearer. Although Williams felt it was a really unlucky game, the damning verdict was that, from a tactical perspective, I think this was one of the worst of the season. Notably, he underlined that Liverpool are no longer a cohesive unit and their summer recruitment has prepared them for a final third game, one focused on penetrating the low block, with too many players wanting the ball to feet. The dynamic of the team has shifted as too many players are asked to be out of position. Liverpool had a statement summer in the transfer window, but that has yet to reap its rewards, with the vast changes in personnel and approach destabilizing the champions. There has, understandably, been scrutiny on Slot's position at the helm, and Williams senses one of the solutions is the transfer market. Despite the recent eye-watering outlay, I will say I have sympathy for Slot, but I will lose sympathy if he's bought all of these guys, he explained. But I have sympathy for him because I look at it and think, where do you go with it? There is always someone out of position, always someone who is behind the ball when he wants to be ahead of it. If you get another coach in, he is presented with the same squad makeup. So, as mad as it sounds, because Liverpool have just spent 400 million, it feels a bit like a transfer window fix.